First of all, thank you so much for visiting with us. As I read this letter, it's such a warm letter, and it's published in your newspaper, China-Peru Friendship, Setting Sail Toward an Even Brighter Future. When you read this letter, what were your takeaways?
The President Xi emphasizes the friendship between two nations that have been cradles of civilization, like China and Peru, nations with over 5,000 years of history.
And you have journalists covering this, obviously the launch, the inauguration of the Megaport, a very big feature of his visit. Can you talk to me about the level of excitement, pride in Peru about this relationship and the Megaport?
La carta pone en relieve la amistad de Perú y China.
The letter highlights the friendship between Peru and China, and today, in this article by President Xi, it's emphasized that Chancay is going to elevate the Inca Road of the new era, a vision of unity for Latin America through the port of Shanghai.
De América Latina a través del puerto de Chancay.
Let me just read a little bit, and I want to get your thoughts on this. He says, this bond of friendship and affection is a legacy that shines brightly across the ages through our respective histories. Many told me that Chinese and Peruvian people would feel an instant warmth upon their first encounters, would have a deja vu type experiencing when appreciating each other's ancient artifacts.
Precisely in the letter, President Xi makes historical references from both China and Peru, very ancient historical references. Therefore, the relationship between Peru and China isn't just from the last 53 years. It's a much older relationship that dates back to the beginnings of civilization.
Again, quoting from the letter, for over 50 years, our bilateral relations have been progressing steadily, especially since the elevation of our relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership in 2013. Our ties have grown stronger and our results-oriented cooperation have been fruitful, bringing tangible benefits to our peoples. Can you talk about this relationship and how it's grown, especially since what we've seen with the comprehensive strategic partnership in 2013?
Como le decía, la relación de Perú y China.
The relationship between Peru and China, officially with the People's Republic of China, began 53 years ago. In the 1970s, Peru was one of the first countries to establish diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China. But even before that, 100 years earlier, Chinese immigrants arrived in Peru, bringing with them their culture and cuisine, which have been incorporated into Peruvian society. That's why I said that the relationship between Peru and China goes far beyond these 53 years of diplomatic relations. It's a people-to-people connection. In fact, President Xi, in the first part of his article, uses the very Peruvian phrase paisano when talking about the relationship between Peru and China.
I've spoken to a couple of people since I've been here this week, and they've talked about the Megaport not just in terms of Peru, but the entire region and how the entire region will benefit. Can you give me a sense of what the Megaport is going to mean for neighboring countries as well?
Sin duda, el puerto de Chancay, la obra y la cercanía va a marcar un cambio.
Undoubtedly, the Chancay port, its construction and proximity will mark a geopolitical change in Latin America and in commercial relations. The arrival of products to Latin America and to Peru will reduce transit times by 10 to 12 hours. And in terms of economics and business, those 10 to 12 hours are vital. It will allow the entry of new technology.
Nuestro medio, la agencia andina, señalaba que los primeros productos.
One of our media outlets, Andina Agency, mentioned that the first products to arrive will be electric vehicles, which undoubtedly change Peru's automotive sector towards environmental improvement. Furthermore, Peru is centrally located in the Americas, so it will soon connect with the Brazilian, Argentinian, Chilean, and other Andean markets. So without a doubt, there will be a greater proximity between China, Peru, Latin America, and vice versa.
Perú y América Latina con China.
And Peru has hosted APEC in the past, hosting again this week. Can you talk about the importance of APEC and also the importance of multilateralism?
El Perú es sede por tercera vez de la APEC. y en un plazo muy
Well,
corto,
Peru is
solamente de
hosting
8 años,
APEC for the
nos
third
vemos a
time in a
convertir
very
en plata,
short period of just
lo cual
8
es
years.
importante para
This shows the importance that Peru places on its relationship with the Asia-Pacific Forum. APEC is one of the most important forums, including the leading economies in the world. So Peru's close involvement and participation in this organization, with the support of all countries, is significant.
participación del Perú en esta organización con el apoyo
We
de
also
todos los
understand
países
that agreements
es
reached by
relevante.
consensus indicate
Adicionalmente,
progress,
tenemos
something that hasn't been
entendido
achieved in a long time.
Los acuerdos a los que se han llegado son por consenso. algo
So
que no
that's
se
a
lograba hace
fundamental,
mucho
very
tiempo.
important aspect for the
Eso también
organization,
es un
for
aspecto
Peru, and for the
fundamental,
relationship within the
importantísimo para la
Asia-Pacific
organización,
region.
para el Perú y para esta relación tan importante del Asia-Pacífico.
One final question. It's an exciting time, not just because of APEC, but also the state visit from President Xi. What's this week like for people who live here in Lima?
Bueno, para mí ha significado, en primer término, el
Well,
reencuentro
for
con
me,
amigos,
it's meant, first,
periodistas
reconnecting with
chinos.
friends
Hemos
and
tenido una
Chinese
serie de
journalists.
actividades con
We've had a
diversos
series of
medios de comunicación,
activities with
pero
various
entre
media
periodistas nos
outlets,
hemos vuelto
but among
amigos.
journalists, we've
Como
reconnected.
país, es importante que el Perú haya
As a
organizado
country, it's
este
important that
foro,
Peru organized this forum
hoy en la
and that later
tarde,
today,
más tarde,
Chancay
se
Port will be
inaugure
inaugurated
el
because
puerto de
Peru once
Chancay,
again has
porque
this
Perú
relevant
vuelve a tener
position
este
within
plano
Latin America,
relevante
within
dentro
South
de América
America,
Latina,
within the Andean
dentro
region.
de América del Sur, dentro de la región andina. ¿no?
And what's
Y
important
lo
is
importante
Peru's
es eso,
closeness to
la
the
cercanía del
Asia-Pacific
Perú
Forum, to
hacia el
China,
foro
and to the
Asia-Pacífico,
Chinese people,
hacia
with
China,
whom the Peruvian
hacia el pueblo
people have
chino,
had a
con el
relationship
cual
for over a
el pueblo
century.
peruano tiene una relación, como le decía, de más de una centuria.
As our Chinese colleagues have mentioned, they can walk around Lima and feel as if they're walking in Beijing, Shanghai, or any other city in China.
Por Beijing, por Shanghai o por cualquier otra ciudad de China.
Can I ask one final question, which is the process itself of printing the letter? How far in advance do you work on getting that? How are you notified? You're going to be able to, the newspaper that's going to be able to publish this, it's kind of, has to be an honor, I would think. Can you explain what the process?
El hecho de que nuestro diario, el diario oficial del peruano, el diario más antiguo de América,
There are
estamos
significant
a unos meses
aspects.
de
The
cumplir
fact that
200
our
años,
newspaper, El
tengamos el
Peruano,
honor
the
de
oldest
publicar un
newspaper in the
artículo del
Americas, which is
presidente
about to
Xi,
celebrate
nos llena de
200 years,
orgullo a
had
todo el
the
equipo
honor of
periodista.
publishing an article by President
Con
Xi,
relación a
fills
la-
the
a la
entire
publicación,
editorial
ha habido
team
pues
with
todo
pride.
un periodo de conversación con los
Regarding the publication, there was a period of discussion with the Chinese diplomatic representatives in Peru, and everything went as well as possible.
¿no? Hoy hemos
Today, we have
tanto en
published this
papel
great letter from
como en
President
nuestra
Xi
versión
both in our
digital,
print and our
esta
digital version, where he
gran
shows
carta
his
del presidente
guidelines,
Xi,
but also his
donde
heart.
muestra lineamientos, pero también muestra su corazón. Entonces, esto
It
es lo
fills us
que
with
a nosotros
pride and
nos llena
honor for
de
having been able to
orgullo,
publish
nos
it.
llena de mucho honor de haber podido publicar esta publicación.
Gracias.
Thank you.